welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. How are we all feeling? How are we all doing today? Good?
Doing well, doing well.
Good.
Yay! Alright, welcome everyone to Shop Talk. Yay! This is our second episode of Shop Talk, the show where we talk shop about creatives and their work that makes VTubing possible. I'm your host, Moni, and today we have three incredibly special, talented guests to talk about graphic design. So first, we have Chris, if you want to do a little intro.
Sure. Hi, I'm Chris. I am a graphic designer. I think like everyone else on this panel. But I am particularly known for icon logos, branding work. I have worked with a couple of VTuber companies, including the long lost and no longer with us Prism Project, Image Project, and Pixel Link, and a couple of other workflows as well. But yeah, that's who I am. I also stream. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Next we have Lani.
I'm Lani. I'm a graphic designer and digital illustrator here on Twitch. I focus on making a wide variety of assets for streamers, such as overlays, panels, badges, banners, anything that you can think of that isn't just directly character illustrations. I've been doing this for like the last 6 years-ish with Twitch, and have been a graphic designer for the last 9. So nice to meet you all.
And then we have, last but not least, Sunny.
Hey, I'm Sony. I create stream assets and also digital stationery. I don't really know what else to say. If you see my profile, you'll see a lot of different stream assets and also probably a lot of pictures of my 4 cats.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, seems like I'm just adjusting a couple of sound levels. I think it should be okay now. You can prepare as much as you want, but sometimes once you hit go live,
The stream stuff is inescapable.
the scuff is inescapable.
It's inescapable. It's a part of the. It's a rite of passage, honestly.
Yes, it's embedded into the VTubing process. Speaking of something else that's embedded into the VTubing process, graphic design.
Wow.
But yeah, the first question that I have for everyone on the panel today is, how did you get into graphic design? You can all
Wait,
we can all don't all start talking at once. Yeah. I think we can go in whatever order feels the most natural, but if someone wants to volunteer to go first, just go for it.
First.
Who's going first? Lani?
Sure. I started doing graphic design a really long time ago. My God. Ugh. But I started in high school. I was doing film projects, and I would work on things like websites for the film projects we were working on, as well as posters, and that was like a very novice level that I was starting at. And it was just for like, effectively for fun, like, for a grade, I guess, but like, it wasn't taken super seriously. And then when I got into college, I was helping pay off my tuition bills by making resumes and business cards for the graduating classes, which is where I learned a lot of like more standardized professional means graphics. And then as I graduated college and like later in my adulthood, I started doing design for small businesses, helping them with like a bunch of business needs, such as like making menus or going from anything from like a business card to like a fucking billboard.
Whoa.
Sometimes, yeah. And I also work with a ton of content creators on making their like stream graphics and designs and like brand identity things. It's like the main thing that I feel like I work on. So yeah.
Cool.
Been doing this for 9 years now.
Yeah, 9 years. It's crazy.
Almost a decade is crazy.
Right?
What are we gonna do for your 10-year?
Oh god. I have some
What's your-
plans, but like
What's your 10-year anniversary plan?
Yeah.
I really want to get into learning illustration more and starting to make like shop items and starting to hit that end of my art journey because I'm really excited and passionate about that, and I haven't had that like fire under me in a while, so I'm like super excited for that.
Awesome. I can go next. I got into graphic design because I went to art school and I technically have a degree in illustration. My major was illustration. But illustration doesn't pay the bills. Is how I was like,
No.
I'm sorry, I don't want to be, glued to a pager or my phone, struggling to get these like editorial illustrations done in 20 minutes if I get like hit by like an editor or something, right? I was like, no, that's not the life for me. So I decided to minor in graphic design, graduated. I work professionally as a graphic designer, and I work my 9 to 5 as a graphic designer, and then I work my 5 to 9 as a graphic designer.
Nice.
It is what it is.
And
but
getting
that's
all those
why
hours.
I did it. Yeah. I just work 12 hours a day.
Oh, it's me. Hello.
Hi.
I got into graphic design during lockdown. I got made redundant, so I was like, okay, I have a lot of free time now, so I thought I'd pick up a new skill, and here I am. 5 years later, I guess.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And
So
you're
it was like a
slaying.
pandemic project, and now you're
Yeah,
here.
well, I think I kept putting it off because I was in hospitality for about 10 years, and I was like, okay, I don't have time to do this. But yeah, lockdown made it happen, so
Suddenly you had so much time.
yeah. And yeah, I don't think I'd want to do anything else.
Aww. I love that. Cool. Thank you all for sharing your stories. That's awesome. And my next question, to lead up to kind of the main thing we're talking about today, is besides just graphic design in general, how would you explain what graphic design is for a VTuber? Like, what does that involve? Why is it different than any other type of graphic design, would you say?
I think my answer is that it's not actually super different from other graphic design, because in my opinion, graphic design for a VTuber is kind of the equivalent of making really nice packaging for a product, and not to like dissolve someone down to being a product, obviously, but like when people are new to your community or new to your streams and they find you on Twitch just by browsing, the first thing that they see is the thumbnail of your stream, which oftentimes has the game that you're playing, your model, and the graphics that encompass it. So like you want to make sure that you're making it look really nice and like has like a good thumbnail and has good contrast, that character pops off from the screen and like just kind of is like a good, hey, look at me kind of factor to it. It does get a little bit more in depth with VTubing, especially though, because you try to incorporate as much of their design into it, because like you want it to be like unique and one of a kind. Like that's always a big element of it too. But I think the biggest things that come in with graphic design for VTubers is just making sure that like it's packed with as much personality as possible, but also still at the end of the day frames everything really nicely into like a nice little presentation. That's for me though. I'm sure there's varying schools of thought on that.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about, right? Because I feel like what you're talking about really is just like VTubers, like you as a VTuber are you like, I don't want to say like you're a product, but your brand is a product, right? And part of your branding is your VTuber design, right? It's your content, and then it's also like your visuals like that surround that as well, right? Like our like the stuff that we do, you know. I would say I think I have a more jaded perspective on the graphic design industry outside of VTubing. I think that VTubing graphic design is a lot more loose. I like how Lani said it needs to just be packed with personality, because I do agree. But I just think it's more fun. And I think there's a lot less people out there that are following the rules for graphic design. There are a lot of designers out there that don't have any formal training in the VTuber sphere, or they don't have any, like, yeah, like they don't know, like, you know, like the quote unquote like rules of graphic design, right? And I actually think that's so good, because I'm so tired of some of the rules. So I do think that like graphic design as a whole, I do see it as like pretty different from VTuber design, mostly because I think that a lot of the design work that is done for VTubers wouldn't necessarily fly in like commercial industry graphic design work.
100%. But like all the principles of graphic design go out the window when you're doing VTuber design, because it's just, well, not completely out the window, but like,
yeah, I think I agree with Chris and Lani. I tried to study formal graphic design for a year after doing this for a few years, and I realized how different it is, and I don't think I could do commercial or corporate graphic designing. I think this is it for me. If you know, if I happen to do something else, it wouldn't be commercial for me, I think.
Listen, commercial sucks the soul out of you.
Oh no!
Yeah, I think I would find something else that, you know, that's fun. I think I really like designing without any rules on me, really.
my day job is like a beautiful in-between having to be so artistically creative with VTuber design and then so corporately aligned with traditional graphic design, where I get to like do both with my local clients on like helping them with like their business needs, because I get to do things where it's like sometimes it is corporate design where it's like making like letterheads and baseline contact forms, and then other times it's like, oh, I get to design the entire menu and make it very eye-catching and appealing, and the night and day difference between the two styles is insane sometimes.
Oh yeah, and I feel like also like the current like graphic design industry, like the trendy like styles that are currently going around, oh yeah, it's so different. You wouldn't see it for a VTuber. I guess like one example, I'm sure maybe you guys understand, is a lot of beauty product brands and the way that they put like half pill shapes images and like nature overlays, like shadows, yeah. You know, like, and like really thin serif fonts,
fine lines.
Yep. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
totally. It's, like, I think VTubing has such a unique style to it. I mean, that's why there was that whole trend of like VTuber logos, like turning corporate logos into VTuber logos, because there's there's so much more you can do with it, and you can break all these kind of assumed graphic design rules that you would find everywhere else, or trends that you would find everywhere else. So yeah, design, it's a lot of fun. All right, I think maybe let's move on to the next segment, I guess. Well, actually, we kind of lightly touched on this, but in terms of how the design of the VTuber and the lore kind of play into how you approach a brand, do any of you have thoughts on, like, when you start a project, when you are working with a new VTuber, what is the kind of thought process that goes behind dissecting what you think their brand is and then turning that into a design?
I think I'll go first, but for me, since a lot of my clients specifically come to me because of for branding in particular, like I will typically ask them for their lore, the overall feelings that they want people to think or feel when they see them, their branding, their assets that I'm creating for them, right? It also depends on how in-depth the branding is. So some of my clients, they only want like a logo and that's it with like a branding guide. Some other clients are like, no, I want a 30-page branding guideline. And I'm like, okay, like it's a very different, right? Like if it's just a logo, it's a little bit easy, but I will do like outright, I will send them this giant lovely online document with a bunch of questions, you know, like what's the name of your brand, what is the mission of your brand, what do you want your brand to represent, what are your color ideas. Like I'm asking them everything, like what sets you apart from your competitors, what's a challenge that you face, you know, like things like that, right? But in terms of like how does it play into how I approach like all the work that I do, it always plays the biggest role, I would say. Always.
For me, I have like two separate answers of the two different types of work that I do. For like the badges and like icons that I do, the lore plays such a massive role on it because I'm always trying to like make little imagery to like fit the characters, not only their like character design, but also the quote-unquote world that they've placed their character in. For example, like if you have like a weaponsmith character, having like an anvil and a hammer as one of their sub badges, even though it's not featured on the character design, is like one of the things I would do for a badge for that. But then on the graphic design end of things, I feel like this might be a fault of my own, I don't quite know. I don't think I have like one particular style. I feel like I do like a bunch of different styles, and so a lot of the time their lore plays into what style I will end up working in. For example, like a monster girl would have a totally different vibe from like a cute barista would have, and like the way that I do like gradients or patterns or shape language in the designs would vary drastically between the two. So, and then like generally speaking, a lot of the time they're like lore and character details manifest themselves in the designs by like the little embellishments that you end up putting in it. Like to make a simple example, like a pink cat VTuber would have like a little bell with a bow and like cat paws scattered all around, and like more playful, bright color blocking type shapes. But then like a more like darker themed VTuber, like a more like monster type themed VTuber might have like things like smoky effects and lots of deep glows and a darker color palette overall. So like there's so many different answers and combinations that it could be based on the character design. That it's hard to give just one answer. But like the answer is that like there is no answer.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah, I think I would agree with what Lani has said. Pretty much.
There's so many things. But yeah, cool. I love hearing about people's process, especially when it comes to, I guess, with graphic design specifically. I feel like that's not the thing that people focus on first when they become a VTuber. Like, it's always the model, and then that's it. And then I could just use like pre-made assets for everything else. And it's like, no, the branding is like so involved. Like, graphic design is so involved in the branding. And I don't think people realize how much graphic design they need until they actually start posting content. And they're like, oh, like everything is graphic design. Everything I post on Twitter is graphic design. All my thumbnails are graphic design. All my panels, all my icons, all my badges. Like, there's so much involved.
I don't know if this is like a thing that Sunny and Chris can relate to, but like this year especially, for some reason, I feel like I've gotten such a massive influx of people asking me for things that are not what I've been offering this entire time. Like, typically I just offer like schedules, overlays, panels, that's it, but like I'm getting a lot more requests for like one-off single-use promotional graphics this year, and I'm like, oh, you guys are figuring it out. The graphic design is happening. Like it's the presentation.
Oh. That's cool. Yeah. I'm glad that people are realizing it now, the value. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think that's good for our question portion. But now, for reals, we're gonna move on to the next segment of this stream, which is assumptions. So we have all of you experts in graphic design and in VTuber sphere stuff, VTuber specific aesthetics. So we have a list of assumptions that people may or may not have about what it is you do and what the importance of graphic design is. And we can either agree or we can debunk them, or maybe people will have different opinions. But it would be interesting to discuss. Sound good?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's fight.
Let's fight. Yeah, all right. Let's duke it out. Let's go. The first assumption that we have is that graphic design is just about making something aesthetic. It's just about making something pretty.
I said earlier that I thought graphic design, well, yes, it does help with making things pretty, especially tying in your branding and everything, but it also I can English. It also serves a very functional purpose as well, of like being a representation of like almost how well put together you are sometimes. I feel like not in the this is like an end all be all, like there's definitely other ways outside of graphic design to achieve this, but graphic design with like overlays is a really good way to have like a really clean thumbnail, for example. So like I think it aesthetically serves a function of like helping you stand out. So yes, and just being something aesthetic. The aesthetic itself is a function.
Yeah. I have always said that graphic design is not about aesthetics or pretty things, it's about problem solving. At its core, I truly believe this with my whole freaking heart, is that graphic design is there to solve a problem, right? If it could be a visual or an aesthetic problem, right? Or, you know, in my industry, right, that I work in, right, it could be that people don't know what the hell this button does. Like how do we use design to change the way that people interact with us, our products, the things that we do, and didn't have them want to interact it in a way that we want them to, right? Whether that be click on a thumbnail, right? Whether that be scroll to the bottom or hit the correct button, right? I think at the core of everything, graphic design is about problem solving. And I think that's the other reason why it's so awesome when you have multiple designers, is because there are multiple ways to solve problems.
Yeah. Oh my god, the amount of times that for some of my local clients I've had to be like, hey, so are you guys familiar with what a call to action is? And just,
I
like,
love the
having to be
CTA.
Ugh. But like there's so much stuff that like with graphic design that I do for my day job and the things, where I'm just like my clients will have like a good base, but they have like not the best visual flow to what they want to actually point people to. I'm like, okay, this is kind of like a junk drawer right now that I gotta like organize and clean for you. Sometimes is what it feels like.
I feel like this assumption really got me, so I'm learning from Chris and Lani right now.
Do you feel like for you it is about making things pretty? Like it is the aesthetic? Or
I mean, I never really thought too hard about it. Like I get the idea and I just make it.
just make stuff.
I just make
It's
but,
just
like,
it's just
I
so
mean,
natural.
I guess like I feel like it's just really like complicated to me because you know, like maybe like yes, the design can look good, but it should also kind of just I don't know, communicate correctly, like what the VTuber is about, I guess, or yeah.
Your profile frames do like a spectacular job at that, by the way. Like I love
Thank
looking
you.
at profile frames so much. Like the Limu one you did recently, I actually is one of the ones that like comes to mind most prevalently, where you not only nailed the like color palette, which already is like one thing to graphic design, but like you did so many of these like little accents that really were amazing homages to like the character design in the first place, and I just like, I love Sony's work so much.
I'm so happy.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna skip around a little bit if that's okay. Speaking of the frames that Sunny has made and has kind of become known for, I wanted to talk about graphic design trends for VTubers, and the assumption that graphic design trends for VTubers are different from other types of design. So we kind of talked about this, but I think like the trends specifically that pop off in the VTuber sphere are different than trends that pop off in like the normie sphere.
Thank God for that. Trends that pop off in the regular, no.
I think Chris and I touched on this earlier where we were like, oh, corporate design is like drastically different from VTuber design. 100% they are different. I would love more of Chris's. You work a lot more the traditional graphic design sense. Feel.
Yeah, I think I don't think a lot of people here, because I mean we're all really, a lot of people like we're really in tune with the VTuber sphere, but not necessarily like the graphic design sphere as a whole. One of the graphic design trends that was really popular, I would say about a month ago, in the general industry was using AI to generate you as a graphic designer as like a doll in a box, and then your graphic design tools. And they were posting, it was everywhere. It was on LinkedIn, it was on Instagram. Everyone was doing it. My coworkers were doing it. They were like, hey, look, I generated myself using this in a car. Like, and I was like,
no way.
Yeah, so I don't think, so a lot of the trends that are happening right now in the actual graphic design sphere, outside from the VTuber niche, actually, it's a lot of AI.
Yeah. AI
is everywhere. Graphic designers in industry are just using it. Like that's the trend right now. It's AI.
Damn.
So it's very different from what the trends with VTubers are doing, where we're like, let's turn corporate logos into VTuber logos. Very different.
I am so thankful that I work on like a contracted basis where like I still maintain like the I'm my own boss kind of end of things with my local clients. So like every time I sign a new contract with them, I'm like, by the way, just so you know, we're not doing AI. Like that is the one thing I'm not touching right now.
Yeah.
Well, funnily enough, I also have an assumption about AI that we can, since we're here. Wow, segue. Why would I hire a graphic designer when I can get AI to do the same thing? Maybe we want to hear from Sunny this time, if you want to give your opinion.
To be blunt, AI is pretty soulless. I don't think a graphic can really have that kind of like emotional depth and like the passion and hard work that we've put in, or even communicate what a client would actually want. I feel really strongly about that.
Yeah, agree.
So because I work mostly on my own as like my own designer and also with the VTubing sphere, I actually don't really see a whole lot of the AI trends in like graphic design. So I actually had to like look this up on like the internet, just like see like what graphic design and AI combinations have been looking like, and I don't know if I found the right things either, but it just it looks like kind of with graphic design, at least, it looks like the early stages of like illustrative generative AI, where it's like all like melted and like gloopy. And I'm just like, it just like, there's the whole argument that like AI doesn't look good, which objectively, I think it's a bad angle to criticize AI that way. I personally, I despise AI with a passion, but I think the argument should be beyond just like it looks bad because it's been trained to the point where it's not looking bad anymore. But like for graphic design AI, from what I saw at least, it definitely does still look bad. Like it's just not good.
It still looks bad.
just it's like so warped and like they're not aligning. Their strokes are all off. They're like, none of it looks right at all. Like, what is going on? Why are you? And then like, I don't know. It's just my favorite line that I see floating around anytime I see like a TikTok ad, for example, that has AI featured in it is I'll sometimes open the comments just to see like what people are responding to it, because I like to like see what the public perception of it is. And I get like a swarm of people being like, if they were too cheap to use AI, their product is probably not good as well. And I think that's like a really interesting angle that people are looking at it from. I want to say it gives me a little bit of hope. A little bit of
like,
hope.
I feel like even companies that have money are using AI, so I don't get it.
It's more about like, why pay a human to do it when I can get an AI to do it for free, which actually is like the assumption, right? Like, why would I hire a graphic designer when I can get it done for free, right? Like, aside from, you know, what Lani and Sony have said about it being like soulless, right, or ugly, a lot of the stuff that AI is spitting out for graphic design is not compatible with what you would need graphic design for. Typically your design work needs to be able to travel and transfer between multiple use cases, right? You'll need different file types, right? Like you might need an SVG or APS file, right? And a lot of the current, I would say, widely publicly known generative AI models do not have the ability to spit out logos like that. I will say, however, that in certain design industries, a lot of graphic designers are using AI. However, I don't want to say good graphic designers, because it's like, you're a good graphic designer if you use AI, right? But there are some graphic designers who are utilizing AI but have really, really, really good technical skills, and you can't even tell. There's also like a lot of AI right now out there for graphic design where they can spit out websites pretty quick and pretty easy, and it doesn't look like total shit. So, I mean, but, you know, you need a human to touch it up at the same time, because there's huge issues, like, with accessibility, right? Like AI can't account for color contrast or checking readability at all times. You need a person to do it. And if you really want to just, I think if you really want and you really care about making a good product, then you should hire a graphic designer. If you don't care, then like, I don't know, like, I'm not saying that you would use AI, but I'm saying, like, I think, you know, if you don't care and you're just kind of looking for like a quick fix of something, like, and you want to produce stuff that's like not good long term and you don't really give a fuck, then fine, I guess, but it's gonna be shitty and it's gonna look bad and it's gonna bite you in the butt later because you're not gonna have what you need.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I feel like at that point it might just be more in your interest to just use pre-made like website builders like
templates,
Weebly or Wix or Card or whatever.
It's because they want custom work.
Yeah. They want the bespoke custom work without any of the price tag that goes into that.
I want it custom but free.
But I mean, that's circling back and buying themselves an ass over like how.
Yeah, truly.
It is. And I don't know.
It's also wild too because like, you know, Fiverr exists. Like, there is very cheap and affordable, if not possibly unethical, we don't know, but like very cheap
Fiverr
options.
also has a bit of AI.
That's true. That's true. Fiverr has been inundated with AI.
I might sound a little bit defeatist in this, but my mentality towards AI is that the people who are using AI were never going to be my clients in the first place anyways. Like, they probably weren't even, like, they were looking for like free things that they could find online before AI came around, and then I don't think they were really going to pay me in to begin with either. That's kind of like how I view things, at least on like an individual aspect. I'm sure company-wise it's different. Companies probably adapted to the fact that there's AI now, but like, I don't know.
Every company right now has AI. Every single one.
Yeah, they're all trying to implement it, even if it doesn't make any sense. And I've experienced that in my job too, where they want to add AI features. And I'm just like, for what reason exactly? And they're like, because it's the future. And I'm like,
we have our own ChatGPT model.
Like,
please,
what?
Feel free to ask it any questions.
Not everything needs to have a chatbot. It drives me insane.
Why would you hire a graphic designer when AI can do the same thing? Because humanity. That's my answer. Because humanity at this point.
Yeah.
Yes, because people.
Because humanity, or because you really like the graphic designer style.
Yeah.
One of the two.
And they're gonna do a good job, guaranteed.
Yeah. And they will be able to take your notes and actually edit the piece
They
for
can
you.
fix it, yeah.
And they can adjust it, and they can upgrade it, and update it, and oh god, I could go on ranting about how much I can get so far. Maybe not. This will turn into a New Yorker starting to yell. I'm so sorry.
Screaming at the clouds. Oh my god. Alright, before things get too heated, we can go back to another assumption. But I could legitimately just have a whole stream about AI and like its impact on like the creative industry, because I find it fascinating.
Call me when you need it.
Yeah, we'll schedule it right after this. But let's see. Our next assumption is that graphic design isn't as important as your model when it comes to your branding or building that brand. We kind of talked about this, but just for the specific assumption clarity's sake. What's more important?
Oh god, I don't know how to answer this one properly. I don't want to like get mistaken, but I want to just generally say I think the model is more important, mostly because the graphic design, especially in VTubing, obviously, the graphic design is based off of your model. So like, you need to have like a good visual identity for that at the very least. I want to say at least like a good basis. Like, it could upgrade later over time for sure, but like, just you can't do one without the other. It feels like sometimes.
Yeah, I will say like, and I'm sure we've all experienced this. For me, when I get clients, I have to see the model first. I have to, because if I don't feel inspired, not that your model is not interesting or anything, right? But sometimes I get like 5 moon logo requests, and I'm like, I'm not doing 5 moon logos in a row. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not, right? It's like, if you don't have a model that sparks joy for people, right? It makes your design, like your graphic design, harder, right?
Yeah.
If you have a model that looks, you know, like it's a dude, like it's just the guy. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's just him, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just the guy.
Yep.
And you can't provide any lore or anything about you. How am I supposed to design for that?
The way that I've navigated around that is I ask them what's like the most common thing that they think they'll be streaming. So for example, like if it is just a guy, but he really likes doing like painted models, for example, I'd be like, okay, we're doing like a workbench type design
See,
do
for
you?
me, I'm so like heavy on branding. If I can't pull things from you just from like your prompting, like your stuff, I'm not. I don't got time
Yeah.
to do
I-
it.
I think
I don't got time to like punch the wall with you. I don't have time for it. I'm sorry.
I like the
Yeah, I
challenge
think,
sometimes, especially. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
sorry, no, you're great.
No. I already talked. You're good. Go.
Go.
I was just gonna say, like if it's not law or the model, I really need a really good mood board. Like I just have to have
Yeah.
it.
Mm.
So if I can't pick off, you, then I'll just pick off the ideas and make it all come together. Yeah.
For sure. I always find badges a little bit hard to do when there's not like a good character design, because then I'm just like, oh, I have like no lore or anything to base these badges off of, and then you end up getting like my 17th dessert badge set.
Hey, but you can change the colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gradient map it. Gradient map it in 10 different ways.
Yeah. I mean,
Having
have
a model design.
have a model.
Please have a model. And
Yeah.
if you don't, like, there's so many like pick crews or like very cheap, if not free, customizable VTuber models out there that you could just like make a design with until you actually make your own, and then you can use that model that you made as your reference point for your eventual custom made model. Just give us something to work off of. Literally anything.
Girl, give us
Go,
something.
go, go. Oh my gosh.
I will say
It's
though,
like-
like, oh, go ahead. Okay.
Those little VTuber introduction sheets are also really great, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, what like timeline are you in? What like location? What's your occupation? Like, what's your VTuber's occupation and all this other stuff? Not like you, the person behind the but like, what's your character? Like, get cheesy with it. Embrace cringe. Write a whole fanfic. Do something, please. I'm begging. I'm begging.
Yeah,
The
I love
cringier,
it.
the more fun I have.
Give me a 20-page Google Doc with a link to a YouTube video that has immersive BGM to read.
Wow.
I love that. Please.
It's happened a couple of times. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
A dream.
Yeah. I was gonna say though, like, if you think that like graphic design and branding isn't as important, like to the point, like we're not saying, I don't think any of us here are saying to neglect it, but every single successful VTuber has really good branding direction for their designs.
And like, even if you don't want custom-made stuff, there's so many like high-quality pre-made assets as well. Like Sony makes a ton of pre-made assets
True.
that like you can just do a
I
good
have the
deep
pre-made
dive.
machine.
Yeah, do a good deep dive. Find like a bunch of assets that really align with like your, at the very least, color scheme, and maybe also like thematic scheme if you can find that. And like, you'll be off to a really good start with that versus just having nothing at all. Like having nothing at all is like,
Rough.
I just feel like there's so many resources out there that you should probably make good use out of.
Yeah. People have no
At that
excuse, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
They have no excuse.
Well,
Yeah, because there's a lot of
but-
free stuff, honestly. If you have the internet to stream, you have the internet to find some free assets, I'm not gonna lie.
There's so
Like,
much good free assets.
I will say
You don't
though,
even
I
have to
do
pay.
think that there are a lot of people don't think about it,
Mm.
right?
I
I've
wish I
had
knew why.
I have clients who like we're like, hey, we're becoming a thing. I don't want to like spill too much, right?
Right.
But this is our name, and I'm like, anything else? This is our name. Okay, let me
Oh.
help you out. What do you want people to think when they see you? Like, is there a thematic? Do we have our color palette? Like, do we have anything other than a name, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
come back to me once you sit and you think about some of these things a little bit more, right? Because I just have a name is not gonna help me. It's not gonna help you. This will be a miserable experience for both of us. So, I'm gonna urge you to think a little. Sometimes people need the questions to be asked, right?
Embrace
Sometimes
the
they
2010, go back onto Tumblr and start making some mood boards, please.
They need you to like ask them the questions because they don't realize that like, hey, I have a name. Like that's not enough, right? Some people really do think that that's enough. So I mean, if I feel bad enough, I will go out of my way to ask people. But generally speaking, I don't have enough time to do that with everyone that I run into that has that issue. So I'm feeling like nice enough I'll ask, but most of the time I don't have time to. I just hope one day they will figure it out.
I should really make a pre-made document.
Like a
for when
checklist?
cases like that happen. Because like it happens a lot.
Really?
Where I get like, yeah, because like there's, especially with the introduction of AI, I get a lot of people who have AI models, and I have like a strict I don't work with AI policy, like in any way, shape, or form. So I'm like, if you have any form of AI, I won't work with you. If you want to replace that AI with something else and then come back to me, let me know. But like until then, that's not happening. And like for the most part, 8 times out of 10, people actually do end up replacing it, but they just don't know what to replace it with yet. So I provide them like a bunch of resources that I have on hand already to help them with that. But then sometimes they just don't know how to design their character. I'm like, okay, this is where I feel like having like a little document to be like, okay, what kind of species are you? Where in the world, like, is it a fantasy realm? Is it a realistic realm? Is it like a past, present, future? Like, just give them like a bunch of guideline questions and then be like, give me a 15 image mood board from Pinterest.
Yes.
And just give me what you think aesthetically looks nice together. I feel like if I had like a little setup document for that, I could base designs off of that, and I don't have to waste the time of being like, I can't make something out of nothing here.
Yeah, totally. Like, I for me, it's kind of wild to me that people don't go crazy when they or with their branding or with their concept when they decide to become a VTuber, because like I've always made OCs since I was a kid. Like that's how I got into art, and that's how I got into design. And so when I'm hearing people just have a name, I'm just like, what do you mean? Like there's nothing else? You have no other ideas? That's crazy. But having that like concept, just the branding concept, even if you don't have a model yet, even if you don't have exact visuals yet, just like knowing the vibe of what you want to be and what you want to present yourself as is like the bare minimum. The bare minimum, please. Yeah, cool. Thank you. What's next? Next one. Okay. This one is tricky. Let me see. This one I actually want to direct Sunny first because I feel like I would love your opinion on this one. Assumption number, I don't remember what number this is. 4 is hard to stand out as a graphic designer.
I'm just trying to think of like when I started. I think starting out it's really hard, but I think the more you work on yourself and what you like to do, what styles you like, and also being more involved with everyone, I think you can stand out. And I think that not everyone has the same taste as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's always room for anyone, especially in VTubing design, because it's just so much freedom to it. So yeah, I think you can stand out. But to me, I do agree that it is a bit hard.
Yeah, like
But
you started in like 2020, right? Or like pandemic
yeah,
time?
well, I didn't start out on Twitter. I was mainly on Etsy actually, and then I think maybe I became more involved about 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately felt how different it was. Because with Etsy, it was I wasn't feeling I think very inspired. It was very basic level design to me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I jumped into Twitter, it was so different. But you know, really, really good for me. I felt like it changed a lot of how I felt and how I designed. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when in your journey do you feel like you hit your stride? Like, when you found your style, you feel like you stood out, you feel like you made a name for yourself as a designer?
I feel like maybe mid or early last year, I felt very comfortable with where I was. So it did take me a while.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what made me feel comfortable, but it was just kind of like feels good.
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, I am a graphic designer for VTubing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the others? How do you guys feel? When do you think you realized, like, yes, this is like this is what I want to do, and I'm actually, you know, feeling good about it, kind of thing?
I think for me, it was pretty early for me, cause I was like, oh, I started out VTubing, right? And then I was like, oh, I need something like unique. What can I do? I guess I could do design, right? So I was like, this is my thing. Cool, whatever. Let's just make it my thing. But I realized that a lot of the design work that VTubers were getting was not really like aligned with industry, in that like VTuber logos were always text-based, and they were always like really round letters with like yay, like really like dorky design, right? And I was like, you know, there's a market here that's like really untapped, and let me use like my background and just actually give like icon logos. Like, let's just do it, right? And I will say, like, I'm confident that I am the designer that like pushed that into the VTuber sphere, period.
Yeah.
Like that's what I did. Like, that's my contribution to the VTuber design sphere, was pushing icon design as a logo alternative. And the other reason why is because I hated doing text logos. I was like, God, I fucking hate these so much. I can't stand it. I hate it. I was like, God, I can't do this. I just can't. So, like, actually, even to this day, like, I charge extra for text logos because I still don't love doing them. Yeah, like, I just don't love working with text. But, like, I will say, it can be hard to stand out. You just need to find untapped potential, right? And I think like both I and Sunny are a great example of that. Sunny found an untapped potential with the frames, right?
Yeah.
And I found an untapped potential with like this whole like half of logo design that exists in every other like design setting was missing from VTuber community.
So for me, I actually still think it's a little bit hard to stand out. I think that's because though I don't have like anything that I particularly like hunker down and focus on, but I think that has also inversely helped me stand out a little bit by offering so many different things. Like, you could go onto my page and get pretty much everything except for character art done if you just like want, and I am open to a lot of different and more like, what kind of crazy idea do you have? Let's just do it. Like, let's figure it out together kind of mentality towards the work that I do. And I think that has been what's helped me stand out. The best example that I have is the debut video that I helped with Kitsunya on, where we did like an entire gacha whole themed debut video. That was like my most fun project, and I get reference to that project so often in the work that I do now that I think it's kind of led to me, through positive reinforcement alone, just like leading into more of like a techie UI theme as like my main style while still doing all the other things as well. But I think it's really just like, for me, I notice that the projects that I'm always the most passionate about are the ones that do farther, because it's just like, I can't shut up about them. I'm like, I'm so excited to share them. Like, guys, it holds up shiny object, look. I kind of have like the same advice on like the moments where I feel like I am doing well and I am like standing out a little bit more than normal, where it's just like, people will read if you are genuinely excited about something, and they'll be like, it's kind of like infectious sometimes. So like, absolutely, untapped potential is another amazing way to go, but I think I'm a little bit more to go with the flow of whatever my clients want to like hit the untapped potential sometimes. So I stick with whatever they want, but like sometimes I try to like put as much of like a creative twist or just like a I want to try something new mentality on it. New to me at least. And it ends up working out for the best that way. And I think as a result, because of like that infectious like I'm excited to work on this with you, a lot of what helps me stand out is actually just the amount of referrals that I get. Like pretty much all my clients have like branched from some other client that I've had in the past.
True. That's so important. And I think that's something that people overlook a lot of the time is like networking can get you really far in terms of landing commissions. Yeah.
There's a load of different ways to go about it for sure.
Yeah.
Networking is what's worked best for me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We are an hour into the stream. I just want to do a temperature check to see how you guys are feeling. Are we still feeling all right? We still have water. Because personally, I need to go to the washroom. I think I overhydrated myself, so I need to go to the washroom. Yeah, but so we will implement a little bit of a bathroom break, a little BRB. Go stretch, go get a snack, get some water, and then we'll finish the rest of the assumptions once we get back in like 5 minutes. Sound good?
Okay.
Cool. Okay. BRB. thank you for this short intermission. We're back, and we have even more assumptions to fight about, to discuss. I mean, have civil discourse about. And one that I think is kind of a big topic, and we were just discussing. It would be good to talk about is that. Oops. Here we go. Is that it's hard to make money as a graphic designer for VTubers specifically. Let's say, if anyone has thoughts, feel free.
I think compared to other aspects of graphic design, I feel like in the VTubers, this is like a thing that I've talked about having like a lot of frustration with, because I've had quite a few times people tell me that $50 is too much for a logo, which I think is hilarious, because in like pretty much any other sphere outside of VTubing and content creation, $50 is like
so cheap,
a drop in the bucket compared to what a lot of other places will charge. And it's a product of like the supply and demand chain, I understand, but like I think it's really hard for people to respect the prices that you set for things when there's so much competition. But also once you start standing out in your own style, you're unique, and you like have like enough demand for your services, you kind of get to like dictate what your own prices are anyways. So it becomes a little bit of both. But I think the harder parts are being able to accurately read what the supply and the demand of the industry that you're working in is going to be, as well as learning how to properly market yourself. I think once you get a handle of those two, it becomes a lot easier to start getting like consistent work that helps pay the bills. But until then, it's like really rough sailing while you're trying to figure it out, because you're just trying to, you go in thinking it's just going to be like, oh, I'm going to do art for people, and then you realize that you're wearing like 17 different hats trying to do like all of the jobs all of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've said this multiple times, but I will never do this for my main source of income willingly, because it's not sustainable and it's not possible for I would say most people. I mean, honestly, like the VTuber community in general, everything is underpriced probably at least 300%. More than what it should be. Everything.
I'd say that that's generous too.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's at least, right? At least 300%. Every single thing in the VTuber community that we outsource, that we pay freelancers for, we should be paying at least 300% more. Based off of outside VTuber industry sphere rates. Is that expensive? Sure it is. Yeah, it is. But also
so
because of that, yeah, custom work costs money. You're paying for the skill set of the people that you're working with, and you're paying for their time, their energy, right?
You also pay for like, research to make sure that it's in fact custom.
Right. But it's just it's a huge problem in the VTuber community. A lot of freelancers can't afford to actually freelance for VTubers because there's just not enough. You just can't. It's just not realistic. Like I know Lani spoke about supply and demand and like, you know, knowing the market, right? I have probably one of, if not, no, I'm positive I have one of the higher prices on logos. But I technically I would love to raise my prices more. But I can't because they're already at the higher tier of VTuber logo pricing, and I think any more than what I currently charge is a hard sell. I had a VTuber corpo approach me asking for 10 logos for every single one of their talents, and I quoted them $1,500. My current logos cost about $110 per logo. So they were asking me essentially for 10 of those, so 110 times 10, right? And then because they're corporate, and they have a higher chance of success, right? I charged a, you know, commercial fee on top of that, and they were like, it's too expensive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy because yeah, like only 1.5K, that's me being really generous with you. I should be charging you 5,000 plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
That's the actual rate. Like, I don't think people realize it, but like that's how much it costs. You know, that's how much it should cost. And that still wasn't good enough for them. And they're like, no, we don't want to work with you anymore. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. But, you know, I feel bad for whatever designer they're gonna go to that's gonna do 10 of those logos for anything less than 1K, which
Yeah.
is absolutely what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
To be completely transparent.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, you go ahead.
I already talked
I
to
wasn't.
you.
I wasn't saying anything. I was just saying that quote is so generous. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
To be completely transparent with like my like daytime job versus my commission work online, my daytime job is focused around like helping small businesses create brand identity and like make their own like company logos and things like that. And my going rate for a logo with like my local clients is 500 for a logo because it comes with like a whole bunch of other things like mock-ups for packaging and like branding guidelines and all these other things. And then for VTubers, I charge literally 50 for just the icon, and then if you want the branding guidelines additional, it's like an additional like 50 for that, so it's like 100. And I still get told that my pricing is too much, and I just sit there and like
audacity.
I literally sit there and like one day I just signed a deal with one of my local clients on the same day that somebody told me that my prices are too high, and I just kind of like slow blinked at them. I was like, you have no idea what this industry is like outside of content creation, and it shows. Like, that's crazy. You're telling a designer that $50 for a logo that you have commercial rights over to post onto product packages, anything for like a website or selling merch or using as like assets for streaming and like stinger transitions and all these other things, like you're telling me that that's too much, and I think that that is diabolical. It's
Oh, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. But it sucks because it's like a lot of freelancers don't know that they're getting I don't want to say like they're getting taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
yeah.
if you like, it's a little different. Like I do it willingly, right? I'm like, you know, fine. If y'all want to take advantage of me, that's fine. Like I understand. I can take that hit personally. Like I'm okay with getting taken advantage of. However, a lot of it comes down to education, right? And just being informed. A lot of people have no idea that logos go for, honestly, Lani, when you said it was 500, I was kind of shocked. I was thinking you should charge at least 1,000.
I'm thinking of honestly raising the prices, especially after this wave that I just did, because I was like, oh,
yeah.
I spent like the last like.
If are you doing like full like guidelines and everything for? Yeah, I think
I do like the breakdown of everything. Like I do all the shape language, and I do like the
1,000.
1,000
yeah.
minimum.
At least, please. Yeah.
I'm looking to raise prices when I stop taking commissions as regularly for VTubers. I'm trying to gradually work my way down until I find like a proper 9 to 5 so I could spend more time. Like, because right now I feel like I'm working 16 hours a day, and I'd like to work at most 12. I know that that's still too much, but like I really do feel like sometimes it's like a 16-hour work day.
Right.
And I want to study, reliable, non-conducive of the amount of work that I did in a week, paycheck. I want that. I want health insurance.
real. The health insurance is so real. Yeah.
And I just want to spend time like enjoying art again. Like this has been sucking the soul out of me for a while now. Like I love doing what I do when I love it. Like which is like 80% of the time, but like 20% of the time, sometimes I'm just like squinting at my monitors with like frustration. I'm just like, bro, help.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Help me help you.
Help me.
True. I think that like sometimes, well, for streamers and VTubers especially, it's like people don't realize it, but they're starting a business. Like when you, even if you don't want it to be a business, it kind of is a business because you will be theoretically making money from it. You don't know where it's going to go. You are going to be using these assets everywhere eventually. And so you're going to have startup business costs. The model is a startup business cost. The graphic design, the logos, the branding is a startup business cost. And so people are like, what? But I just do this for fun. Or like, oh, I only have like 3 viewers. But there's plenty of startup businesses like restaurants or like any corporations that also have like no users or no customers, but they still have to pay the proper amount of money to build up their brand because it's so essential to growing as a business. And so, yeah, people have the shock. I'm shocked. All of your prices should be higher, but I understand that so many VTubers are like broke.
Can I bring up a hot topic that like happened not so long ago with Twitter?
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
There was like a whole discourse about charging commercial rates
Oh, yes.
on projects. And I understood the perspective of like not liking the hidden fees. I agree with that front. I think especially like if you're taking commissions on VGen where the platform was literally made in the image of VTubers. Like it was made for commercial use for the most part. Like it does, you can take personal use commissions as well, of course, but like it originated with commercial. Like I think knowing your audience and pricing your stuff on that platform for that audience is a good thing, but there is a lot of people that took it the other end of the spectrum where they're like, yeah, what am I gonna do? Just have this art sit in a folder? And I just, or
It
you
just
realize
shows
that you're paying for brand identity and that what you're doing in any way, shape, or form could be bringing in income. Like,
it just shows that there's a huge disparity again. I think a lot of it is really just like lack of information and understanding, right? Copyright and rights transference, stuff like that, right? That's not, it's difficult to learn if you don't go out of your way to learn it or you didn't have formal teaching on it, right?
yeah.
And the general public definitely doesn't have the general know-abouts, right? But I mean, for example, right, like I had somebody come up to me recently and they were like, by the way, like I want to do this project with you, but I want full rights. And I was like, pause. Do you know what you're asking for? Because when you say full rights, that they were like, I'll credit you, of course. And I was like, but when you say full rights, you're talking about removing my authorship. You're talking about a complete and total transfer of all rights on the project, right? That's literally me giving you the copyright in its entirety. Like I don't have to. I can't even say like
files and all.
Yeah, I can't. I have no control over that. Like it's yours forever, in perpetuity, unless we write something in the contract for it, right? And I was like, just so you know, a full rights transference / or I call it a full rights buyout. That is expensive.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people like. You are asking me to forfeit my ability to say that I created this, to show it or use it in any capacity. Like, it's very serious. And if anybody, and they were like, wait, that's not what I want. I just want to be able to use it on merchandise. And I'm like, so you want commercial use rights. Like, you want commercial rights, right? And if you want, merch, it's, the right to reproduce, right?
Yeah.
But that's just, I mean, this happened literally, couple days ago, and I felt I just felt they didn't know, and it's not even a knock on them. They didn't know. It's not their fault, right? But you again, with the drama that happened, people were talking about, why should a designer be able to sweep take the rug out from under me and stop me from using my stuff? I'm like, you probably don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you're saying that, because it's not legal. There's so many stuff. Good.
They're so ready to be vocal about it, but not. They're
not educated enough to speak.
They don't read into it at all. And I'm just like, dude. I understand if somebody's telling you, like, for example, you can't use it as a profile picture, but like also they probably had it clearly listed in their TOS that like it's personal use only. But then there's also just like, I don't know. Somebody, when I got a response in on the discourse on that, they took a screenshot of my own TOS and they're like, if I have to pay for merchandise rights, I'm just gonna do it without letting you know. I'm like, and that is why I will never work with you. Thank you for making that clear.
Why even comment that? What?
Yeah,
like,
that's
people
kind of
just
crazy.
want to be hateful for no fucking reason on Twitter.
They're
Like, Twitter is a wasteland of toxicity a lot of the
So
time,
angry
to be
all
fair.
the time. Yeah.
But like still the whole discourse really like put into life for me. I was like, wow, okay, this explains why you always think that I'm like overcharging for $50 logo. This explains why this and that, or like all these other things. I'm just like, you guys just
The bar's on the floor.
you went into an industry without knowing any of the
The
business
bar's
terms,
on
and
the
that's crazy.
floor. Yeah, I wish like it's just a problem in all freelance stuff, right? Because, you know, somebody thinks that commercial use is for a profile picture and then somebody else is like, no, it's not, right? And they don't have similar applications, right? There are technical definitions, right? There are technical, real, official like definitions of what is and what isn't commercial use, right? But again, people aren't informed, or, you know, like, hey, I've only ever done internet freelancing and I've never had to think about rights transferring or anything like that before. So I don't even know what is commercial use. Well, that sounds like commercial use to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of like, there's no consistency, and so it creates a lot of confusion for clients.
I always separate my my licensing. I define them in my TOS where I'm like, okay, we have the standard universal one, which is like I include commercial, what I consider to be commercial, which is just like you can use it on posts, you can use it on your channels, you can use it on any place where you get ad revenue, whatever it is, as long as you are not making direct profit off of what I have made for you. For example, if you want to make it into merch, you have to buy merch licensing for that. And then if you want full rights, then that's like a whole other conversation that I give out very selectively.
Oh yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to make that as like crystal clear and broad as daylight for my clients, because I'm like, I'm going in assuming that you know nothing about this. Because generally speaking, most people know nothing about this. And I break it down in like the easiest divide terms so that they can like be like, okay, I'm only going to use this for stream and I just want to be able to post it and I'll credit you. Great, commercial. You don't have to pay an extra cent extra, that is included in your project. You want it for merch? A little bit extra. You want like the source files and to tell me to fuck off? Okay. that's a conversation
like
for later.
times 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much confusion and it sucks, but it is also the nature of the industry for VTubers, because they don't think about this kind of stuff. They don't think about the business part of it. I would consider, yeah, like the business part of buying or commissioning an artist or a designer.
Which, to be fair, a lot of people enter this as like a hobby end of
Yeah.
things. They're not really
Right,
thinking of
I
it
mean,
that
yeah,
way,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like,
Why would you question what I like if
Yeah.
you've never commissioned art before and you're like, I want to pay for this art, and then you're like, it's mine. Like,
as soon
why
as
would
start
you
throwing the word
question it?
intellectual property at people, it's just like that's where it all becomes a mess, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, and I think that because of like the confusion of people's TOSs, I think it's both on the commissioner side, but also on the artist or the designer side. Like a lot of them don't know either. So like,
I feel like
it's tough. There's no standardization. It also depends on where you live and where the person that's
Right.
paying for
Yeah.
it lives, and they might have different copyright laws, and they might have different licensing laws.
Yeah, I mean,
moral of
like,
the story, you have a very clear TOS if you're an artist, and if you're a client, please. I know it's a lot of words. I know it has a scroll bar. Read it. Read it.
Mhm.
read
Please
it or
read
ask questions. Like, just ask. You know, like
Yeah.
if they don't list what is commercial use, just ask them. Just be like, hey, I see you don't have like what commercial uses here. this is what I plan on using it for. Is that commercial use for you? And then they're like, yes, no, and then they adjust accordingly. Like, I know my logos, I don't charge commercial fees for pretty much any of my work. I don't treat it like industry standard commercial, but that's because I'm like, dude, where most of us are indie VTubers, we are just out here, and I can afford to be kind, right? I can afford to give things away for free, so I do it because it's nice to do, and I don't want to I don't need the commercial fee. I don't need it. Unless you're a corporate client, then I do need it. But you know, I don't charge or consider industry standard definitions of commercial use because I don't need to in this case, because I can afford to take hits for my clients.
Cool. Yes, that was a big topic. Money is such a big topic, and like I have a tangent to this, I guess, which I don't have in the assumptions, but it's about like starting commissions or starting a shop as well, but starting commissions. If I was a new graphic designer on the scene and I wanted to start commissions, what advice would you have for me?
Stretch out every single project you do into multiple posts. Consistency is so key. Oh my god. It's like a thing that I struggle with. Like, I wish I was better about this. Like, I know what I have to do, I just don't do it, and I need to be better about it. Oh my god.
Like marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
When I started,
you have a Twitter account, marketing is free. Sorry.
I don't know if you remember, Lani, but when I first opened my commissions, I came to you. Like, help me,
yeah.
please. Please help me. I think you can. A lot of us designers are really nice. If you wanted to reach out and ask for help,
Yeah.
I think that's a good point to start as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of servers I think that we're all in, right?
Yeah.
Like VTuber graphic designer servers. You can like get into those and ask people. My advice is, are you sure? That's just because there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, I'm good at this, I could do it for money. Are you sure that you can do it for money though? Because there are people who are really wonderful, talented, amazing artists, designers, creatives, but they suck when it comes to doing commissions. like you can be so talented, but if you're dropping the ball and you have horrible time management and you suck at communicating, maybe don't.
I think
Or
every
learn.
new commission artist should start off doing sketch style. I think that should be like the ground basis, because you're gonna have to learn the self-marketing and the business end of things, which you can learn through doing sketch, but then you also have to learn the communication end of things, which is a thing that I see go overhead so insanely often. It hurts my soul every time I hear. Like, I've had so many of my clients tell me that they have been ghosted for like upwards of over a year and a half on projects, and I just kind of sit there going,
Man.
I get anxious not telling a client what's up after like 3 days. Like, y'all can't drop the ball like this. Like, this is the most basic part of being a commission artist. You have to communicate. Like, that is a part of it.
Yeah, like I've been like ghosted a couple of times because I do commission a lot of stuff. Like, I would say, like, man, I've been ghosted probably like over $1,000 worth of stuff. It's just,
Oh my
in the
gosh.
shitter. I'll never get it back. Like, I'm never gonna get it. Like I'm
That
just like,
sucks.
damn.
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
shoot. But it's like, I don't understand it, because it's just like, I don't want to say like it's contempt for people, but I do think it's just malicious. If it's like certain point, because it's just outright, it's disrespect for your client's time, and it's disrespect for their money too, because everybody work hard for their money, you know? You should really be respecting that they're giving it to you. Like, you don't have respect at all for your clients. You do not care if you are like dropping the ball like that and just not communicating and not delivering. Like, it just comes down to just disrespect.
Also, just like loop a little bit back to advice. Just really do your research before you open up commissions. Like, look at what other commission artists are like, especially like trying to figure out pricing. Every time somebody comes to me to ask for help on like figuring out their pricing and their TOS, I'm like, what are other people in your field doing? And like, is that something that you feel is fair payment for your time and your skill? And that's the other thing. Like, people always account the price to be based off of like the time spent on a project, but like hardly ever actually price according to the skill of the project, I feel sometimes, or vice versa. Like, they do it for the skill but not for the time, and like, you have to do both. It's both. It's the time you spent learning the skills, as well as the time you spent doing the project, as well as the expertise and the knowledge and all the like practice that you've put in, and like the like knowing what works and what doesn't work. And I really wish artists stopped underpaying themselves. Every time I see an artist underpay themselves, a little part of me dies.
Cry. Yeah, if I ever see like,
Speaking
oh,
of
my
artists
commissions are
underpay
opening for the
themselves.
first time, it's like I have like $15 commissions open, and I'm like, no, baby, please stop. $15. Like, when people are charging like what they think is the hourly rate or like the minimum wage, and not considering all of the effort it takes. It's a very specific skill set that you need to be a designer or an artist, and not everybody has it, which is why people are going to commission you in the first place. So you should know what you're worth.
There's a crazy phenomenon that I keep seeing happen every time. I get reached out to by a couple of people who are very small and starting off with commission work that underprice the hell out of themselves, and they're like, I'm not getting any clients. And I'm like, and I look at their art is beautiful, and they're charging like $20 for a half body. I'm like, raise your prices. They're like, but I'm not making any sales right now. I was like, you're not making any sales because people are looking at the deal that you're offering and it feels too good to be true, and they're very suspicious of it. I guarantee you, if you raise your prices, you will get a client. And then they come back to me like a week later, they're like, I got 4 clients. I'm like, I'm telling you, there's like there is like a delicate balance between being cheap enough where like people are like storming the gates to commission you because of how cheap it is, which, if that's happening, raise your prices, obviously, because like you have enough demand to be able to do so. But also there's an inverse of that, where like you charge so little that it looks like a scam. Do your research on market prices, please. Please do your research on market price.
Yes, agreed. Okay. I think we can move on to the next assumption now. I took this one out. But let's see. The next assumption we have is that is that graphic designers are all good at drawing. Though I know some of you are. Do all of you draw? Can you draw?
I'm learning how to draw, but I think this month I was abysmal with it.
Sunny, what were you saying?
I was just saying I used to draw, but now I've completely forgotten that skill completely.
Yeah.
I've tried to pick it up again, but it's just so hard, and I feel like there's not enough time. I'm always designing.
Yeah, it's actually a really common assumption, actually, that people think that graphic designs means you can draw or illustrate. It's actually not the case, and especially, so like outside of VTubing, if you go and try to get a job as a graphic designer, most graphic designers can't draw.
Yeah.
I would say probably about 90% of graphic designers in industry don't know how to draw. Okay, like, it's an
Graphic
extra
design is
skill.
not an illustrative
It's
skill.
not illustration. No, it's like
At
a
all.
lot of people, when they learn graphic design formally, it's like photo manipulation, right? And stuff like that. It's not so much drawing. If you can draw, it's considered a bonus perk at any reasonable and intelligent company. A lot of companies are like, graphic designers can draw and code. And I'm like, whoa.
Hold on.
Hold on a second. I'm not a developer. And I'm like, it's very, very common that people think graphic designers design websites. They code them too. No, that's any company like that is actually like worth their salt would not do that. And they know that this assumption is wrong. Yeah.
Graphic design is such like it can be creative and it can be artistic, but it is always technical. It is always like a know your fundamentals and know how to apply them. And like, even if you don't think of it from that perspective, like I can almost guarantee you that you're always dealing with something like the rule of thirds or like golden ratios to like make everything look like really nice and geometric and like it's like in its proper place. Like, there's a reason why, like, I sit there sometimes, like, adjusting a thing 1 pixel at a time until it feels like it's slotted in the right spot. And, like, that's not an artistic skill. There's just something wrong here, and I gotta figure it out. Like,
yeah. Like, they reference the same techniques a lot of time. Like, art or illustration and graphic design might reference the same, like, visual principles or, like, color theory, but they're definitely not the same skill set, I would say.
I think graphic designers share a lot more skills with photographers than they do with like illustrators, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Good one. Next assumption is that graphic design is so easy. It's so easy to do. Anyone can do it.
But can you do it well?
Graphic design is my passion!
I think with programs and like services like Canva and like free online things like Figma and all these other things, graphic design is like very easy entrance, but it's very difficult to gain
like mastery.
Rapport, I want to like mastery, or like I don't know how to word it exactly.
Like
it's
the barrier
very easy
is
for
low.
anybody to do that. Yeah, the barrier is low, but the
ceiling is high.
Steps go high. Yeah.
Agree. I do you guys, how do you feel about like the barrier being lower, like Canva and like all these like services or businesses that are trying to make graphic design easy for the layperson to do?
I think anything except for AI is a wonderful thing, except for when people tell me that my stuff is just a Canva template and I have to pull out the Illustrator file and show them that there's 17 layers in just one fucking asset. I'm like, this is not a Canva template. I spent hours on this. Please do not belittle my work like that.
Where but that has only happened like from?
One person literally took my mock-up that I made for Minty and then posted it onto their page being like, I'm looking to make more stuff like this. Did not credit me at all for the work.
That's
I was like,
crazy.
Hey,
wow.
I actually feel like this process so common. Like it's surprising. It really shocked me.
Really?
Here's the kicker, right? The person that I commented to that person, I was like, hey, so this is my work. Please don't do this. Please take it down.
Yeah.
They responded being like, this is a Canva template. I know because I'm on Canva all the time. And according to their TOS, it's public use. I was like, and then I proceeded to open up my Illustrator file, take a fucking recording off of OBS and be like, this is not a Canva template. Here are all the layers. I can toggle everything on and off. You can literally see the pen line strokes and everything that I did for this. Please stop kidding yourself on this one. Like, I lost my marbles on that one. And then
that was...
they cursed me. Like, they're like, oh. And I think it worked because my PC crashed like a month later. I was like, oh god, it's real.
Oh my god.
No. Like, do you feel like
Kidding
because...
about cursing, but like, not really.
Yeah, not really. But like, do you feel like... I don't know even what my thoughts on this are, but like, I guess... For me, I'm a UX designer, so I'm in the industry of like designing websites and apps and software and stuff. And like Squarespace exists, for example, where it's like drag and drop, people can DIY themselves. Do you feel like cheapens your work at all or devalues your work at all in the minds of people when there's like the easy way to do stuff versus your way of doing stuff?
I think it takes it back to like making it yourself versus getting it custom made. I don't think it cheapens the work that I do at all. I just think it makes it easier for people who can't afford to get something higher quality at the given time. I think it's great. I think anything that helps the people first instead of like a mega conglomerate corporation, like I'm always going to be a fan of, but that's my take on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it cheapens my work. If anything, it elevates my work. Normally. Yeah, like, I mean, there is like some skill still required with some of these things, right? But at the end of the day, like, they're not like the people that are necessarily using Canva, unless you're a poor graphic designer stuck in a marketing team, a really small company, and they said, use Canva, you know, most people using these things are not graphic designers. So they don't have a design sense. If they do, it's very tiny, and kind of like underdeveloped. So it's not a threat. I don't feel threatened.
Graphic design jobs where the specific requirement is to know Canva, but I do not know Canva. So
you could learn Canva pretty easy though. Yeah.
It's just funny that it's not Adobe or anything like that. It's Canva.
Yeah. Because that's all some people know is Canva, or like their whole brand identity is like uploaded into Canva.
And they want their marketing team to be able to go in there and change the copy. They're like, that's what they really want. They want other people to be able to change it around easily without you.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't think I 100% agree with Chris. I don't think it cheapens it. I think if anything, it helps like elevate your value because like you could tell the difference.
Yes.
There's a difference.
Yeah, there is totally a difference.
But it's always a good place to start, especially for VTubers. I feel like if you're going in as a hobbyist with like no budget at all, like
do it.
A great place to start, and then you can eventually come to people like us to like elevate your stuff later on. Whenever you're ready, without putting yourself into like fucking debt to get it all done.
100%. Please do not put yourself in debt to be a VTuber. Biggest tip.
Yes. Which shouldn't have to be said, but I've seen it happen too many times.
It's happened so many times.
I took out a $25K loan against my house to be a VTuber, bro. What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh. Anyways, here we are at our last assumption of the day, which is you can't scroll on social media without cringing at bad design. You see bad design everywhere, and you just wish you could fix it, but you can't.
I have two answers.
No.
To somebody else's work, I could never cringe at them, but to my own work from the past, I cringe so fucking bad.
Oh.
That's real.
Yeah.
I look at like my old projects. I was like, "What was I thinking? What was I doing?"
That's content too, though. That's before now.
The before and afters are crazy. Yeah.
Content.
The only time I ever cringe is when it's AI generated. That's the only time I cringe because I'm like, "Ew, you're stinky." Fuck AI. Like.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like I also don't feel like I would cringe at someone's work or like someone's art, especially if they're new or they're starting out. Yeah, it's mean. Yeah. But I will laugh at corporations. Is my addendum. Is my It's like actually if you have the resources and it still looks like shit, that's on you.
Yeah.
Right. I would say actually the only time I would cringe at someone's designs is if the fucking contrast hurts my eyes.
Yeah.
They, like getting flashbanged basically. Like that hurts. Like that's a cringe. That's like my eyes, they hurt. Like super high contrast. Like,
you know that
maximum hot pink. And I'm like, whoa, my eyes, they burn.
Chris, you might be familiar with this, if not everybody else. I don't know how mainstream this one got, but like, you know that one fucking used car website that's like an absolute monstrosity that they show in graphic design classes all the time? It's like on like it's like on the web archive thing. There's like, it looks exactly like what you picture if I click anywhere but like a bad thing. Like I'm gonna get like 17 viruses if I click the wrong thing.
Yeah,
like,
I think I actually,
website.
I just like,
I can look at that and not cringe because I'm like looking at it, I'm like, no, because that was what it was at its time. Like that was the 2000s era of website development. Like
right. Yeah, I'm talking about actual like it hurts my eyes cringe.
Yeah.
Like you have to close your eyes. You can't keep them open.
Every time you
if I
flash
can
a
look
logo.
at that and not cringe, I feel like I could look at anything else that, as long as it's not like extremely high contrast, or I'm just like,
It's like,
I feel
ow.
like my,
Yeah.
it's gonna get
Or like
burned into my retinas
flashing
if I stare.
lights. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I
Oh
had
my
to
god, the
mute some
blingies from like the
producers.
2000s.
Oh my god, blingies.
Oh my god. That was a fun design era.
Bring
that
'em
was
back.
a fun design era.
I would like to bring blingies back. Where is the next
Please bring it
VTuber blingies trend? Please
we should
start
do
it.
like blingy, like,
We
We
photos.
should. We'll make a blingy of this right now. I'll make a blingy of this. I'll screenshot the stream and make a
Oh
blingy
my
of
god,
it.
VTuber model
Oh
where it's
my
just
god,
a
yes.
Yes.
I think also like for anybody who might be starting off with graphic design that are worried that like people could be cringing at you, which is maybe also the direction this assumption could have been coming from. Don't worry. Like I know it's hard to like just say like don't worry about it, but like as long as you're not doing something like abysmally high, like Chris said, like abysmally like high contrast, like even the most bare bones of the design is fine. Like you're starting out, it's okay. You have room for growth, and that's the important part. As long as you just like keep working on improving, it's gonna be fine. Nobody's cringing at you in that way. Like you're fine.
Yeah, and if they are, then they're just mean.
They're
You don't want to
assholes.
be
Yeah.
involved with them anyways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And they don't want to be involved with you either at that point.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh my god.
That's true. Just cut them out. We don't need them. But yeah, bare bones, and things can always improve and change over time. It doesn't need to be perfect right away. So,
Yeah.
100%.
cool. Well, that was it. That was it. That was all the assumptions and questions that we had for today. Thank you all for coming and sharing your knowledge,
hosting
your
this.
insights.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Of
you
course.
for having us.
Yeah, I had so much fun. And I
Me
learned so much.
And Ellie also in the background helping us out with this. That was awesome.
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah.
Shout out Lintello and Spelly.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
helping.
Thank you.
And thank you to the viewers. Thank you for anyone watching the stream or the VOD later on. We appreciate your support as well. Thank you for supporting the creative people in VTubing. Cool. All right.
Yay.
I think that's a good note to end on.
Let's go.
Yeah, we can shout out everybody, all the guests again in the stream. And yeah, I think that's
I'll be waiting for
good.
that blingy post.
yeah. I will.
Join me, please.
I will figure out how to make the blingy. Is the website still up?
I'm sure there's like websites that still do it for sure. Because there's ones that do like the blingy text too.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, yeah. Sounds good. We'll do that. But yeah, thank you guys again for coming on. And I hope to chat with you again sometime.
Yeah.
Alright.
Thank you for
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.